This is Mongolian Mindset, and today me and Christian are going to be breaking down some valuable information for you. If you are a parent or you will be a parent in the future, you definitely want to stick around and watch this entire video. We'll be breaking down how each of the temperaments are as children and ways that you may want to parent them. If we get 30 likes on this, we will break down how parents actually parent based off temperament. Okay, because each temperament does it differently. So this may help you. If you get 30 likes, it may help you identify what your parents are easier. Okay, we're all about getting this shit done. Even if you're blind, deaf, and dumb, you will understand what we're teaching you, and that's our main focus over here. This ain't no nerds teaching you this. Okay, these are scientists. Okay, me and Christian are scientists in real life. Christian, got anything you want to say, man?
Yeah, man. I just want to say make sure that you don't watch this video once. Watch this two, three times so you get the actual message behind the video. It's very important. Don't fall into the same traps every parent falls into. Your kid will appreciate you for it. Okay.
That's very well said, Christian. Very well said. So, guys, we'll be getting into that. Okay. And so, we got our slide here, the parent and child based on temperaments. So, if you're not familiar, the temperaments are the SJs, which are the guardians, the SPs, which are the artisans, the NTs, which are the rationals, and the NFs as the idealists. Okay, so we'll be breaking those down and how they potentially how you were as a kid, so comment below if you agree or if you were like this or if you wouldn't. Let us know. I think some types may swing in between sometimes, but overall, it's a pretty good guide. Okay. So the overall goal here is parents should learn to respect their child's personality and find support and encouraging the strengths. I think a lot of people project themselves onto their children, and that does actually hurt their growth or may actually damage them. Okay. All of us have a problem with just overall projecting. So for instance, if I had an NF child, I'm going to be projecting my NT core on him, and that doesn't necessarily work for him, and that's not what's going to make him happy. And unfortunately, you want to put them in the best position to be successful, and that's what we're doing here. So good parenting answers who are my children and how can I help them along the path that suits them best. Understand how your temperament affects the way you raise your children. We'll be doing that in the second video. If we get 30 likes, we'll be breaking that down. Some temperaments aren't the best for raising certain temperaments, but awareness and understanding can help. So that's the number one thing we do on this channel. We give you guys the most accurate information out here, so that you have the awareness and understanding and you can make actual changes in your life. Okay, whether it be being a parent, whether it be acknowledging your core needs, whether it be typing people, we really care about getting the best information out there.
Yeah. I just want to say before we continue, people need to realize this is more dangerous than you think, right? Because in the right combination of temperaments, parent and child, you could inhibit your child's growth in what he or she is supposed to have as strengths, and you could actually give him worse results in life and set him up for failure if you don't listen to these things. So please make sure you listen to this video and really take into account if you are inhibiting your child more than helping them by doing this projection thing that Mercer's talking about.
And also you can share below if your parents may have inhibited your
Inhibited
growth,
you. Yeah.
because unfortunately that does happen. Unfortunately, our parents try to do the best they can. They don't have the information that we have, and they are human. So it is what it is.
Yep.
So Chris, I'll let you go and take that.
All right. So Dr. T. Barry Brazelton, child expert, he observed babies. He observes that babies have personalities, which goes along with the four temperaments: active babies, good babies, difficult babies, and quiet babies. Typing children is actually easier than adults due to their transparency. Artisan and guardian kids talk about what is or concrete. Idealist and rational kids talk about what if, abstract. So artisan and rational kids focus on what works. Pragmatic versus guardian and idealist focus on what is right. Now, we have the artisans, SPs like me. They're more impulsive and will be seen into everything as soon as they can crawl. So basically, they're quick to want to try things. You know, they like multiple stimuli. Guardian or SJs are more cautious and more responsible. They focus on what is on doing what is expected of them. They try to follow the rules and the norms, right? So they seek a lot of validation for following rules. Idealist children or NFs are sensitive, can be anxious, while quickly developing a feeling for caring. These are the kids that are big huggers. They come up to people and they just want to hug them and love them. And now we have the rational kids or the NTs. They're more calm and curious. They're investigating and experimenting long before entering school. Okay. These are the curious kids that want to figure how stuff works and are very analytical. Okay. Oh, and just a little caveat. Um, I used to work at a daycare when I was in college. So I got to experience many different kids and their personalities, and this goes along with my experience. You could really kind of identify which group kids fall into. They're a lot easier to put in personality groups. Okay, so I agree with the statement. Okay.
Yeah. Chris, I'll let you take this since it's yours.
Okay, so artisan children or SPs, they're easily excited and stay excited longer than any other types of children. They're easily bored and on the lookout for a new adventure, shining into action. As toddlers, they want to go where their impulses take them. They love testing the metal, natural born risk takers. Parents that are in a situation of too much restraint can damage their artisan core, and too little can result in them getting hurt. Artisans are bad at following rules, schedules, and doing chores. Parents beware due to lack of concentration and compliance labeled hyperactive or attention deficit disorder. They can act up in school because most schools don't offer them activities that can hold their attention. Now, when I worked in the daycare, I know exactly. There's this one kid. He was a clear SP. Like he liked to, you know, always be in the action, and he needed a lot of stimulation, and he didn't really follow schedules too well. Now it's funny because I'm an SP. I didn't know about typology back then, but like he was kind of like my favorite kid out of the group because even though he didn't follow the rules, I kind of like related to him in a way. Like I could see myself in him. So then, like I kind of took him under my wing and like kind of mentored him. And by the end of the class, like he was behaving a lot better, maybe because he respected me in a way, and I taught him a lot of things. But yes, they are adventurers. They like action, and they don't want to sit still. Really, okay. They don't do well in school, and we could go on to the next one, but the next ones do a lot better because they don't have this call to action. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, these are your people that they're better at sports and stuff. They pick up sports very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, kind of the people, a lot of like, especially for an NT like myself, we were kind of envious of, everybody knows, I've talked about it very much. Like when I was a kid, I didn't have the coordination to do a lot of things, but these people here, they had that coordination. And they're able to put all that together. So it's nice to see their strengths. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
will say, like,
Yeah.
when you're a parent, you got to realize that you can't damage them by not allowing them to build their strengths, which is doing things and shining in the moment, right? If you restrain them too much, you can actually damage their confidence, so they'll become an adult, and they might not be a very happy person. They may feel like they need to go on certain drugs or whatnot based off, that core being inhibited, right? Because if your core is inhibited, you may do different things. You might feel sad, depressed, angry, all of those type of things. So you want to be able to balance that perfectly, um, while also not letting them like hurt themselves too much.
Yeah, I think and I can talk from my experience. I guess when I was a kid, like school was always very boring for me. But I just did well at it because I was talented. Basically, like I didn't really put in a lot of effort into school, but I would get good grades just based on my talent. But what I really just was obsessed over and liked was, my martial arts and sports, playing outside, stuff like that. That's what I liked. But because, maybe my mother just placed so much importance on academia and stuff, then I was kind of forced to like place a lot of importance in it. But it never really moved me. It wasn't something that I really enjoyed or really, scratched that itch. It was really just sports. It was running, sparring, fighting, playing outside, stuff like that.
But you
That's
want
what I enjoyed.
you want to tell them a story about your childhood, man?
Which one? Which
You want to
story?
talk about the martial arts one?
Yes. So for example of like, because SPs can be very pragmatic. So every belt test,
So
my
wait.
instructor,
Before we
what?
say pragmatic, pragmatic is focused on what works. Okay, not the right thing to
Mhm.
do, but what works. So go ahead, Christian.
Right. So SP children's are gonna tend to do what works or pragmatic. They're pragmatics, right? So during my belt test, my teacher or sensei, he used to spar us for every belt test. Now, as you go higher in belts, he would go harder and harder on you, right? So I was already to like the brown belt test. So he was going pretty hard on me. So he was throwing me on the ground. He was beating me up and stuff. But I noticed he kept turning his back. He kept turning his back. Every time he'd throw me on the ground, he'd turn his back and walk off, right? So I'm like, okay, next time he throws me on the ground, I'm getting up, I'm running, I'm hitting him in the back, right? Now you ain't really supposed to do that, but me as a pragmatic thinker, it's like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So he go ahead, he sweeps me, he throws me, boom. When I hit the ground, I get up and I run towards him and I just kick him in the back. And the thing is that the guy was kind of older. He was like probably in his 50s at the time. So it really hurt him, you know what I mean? So that's an example of like how pragmatic thinkers can get into trouble or cause a little bit of chaos, thinking about what works but not what you should do, you
Hmm.
know. But hey, that's a little story from my childhood, so you know how SPs think.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the guardians or the SJs. Okay, they enjoy following the rules and happy with pleasing the adults around them. Like you can see here with the safety patrol and stuff. You probably all had friends or people that was like that. Okay, those are probably gonna be your SJs. Guardians have an innate respect for authorities and focus on doing what they're supposed to do. Right. So no matter what the authority is, they feel in line with that authority. Respond well when authorities tell them you did it the way I wanted, or I know I could depend on you, because their core needs is responsibility and duty, right?
Mhm.
Responsibility, duty, safety. That's gonna be that guardian core, okay? Enjoy schools that vary little day to day. So naturally, school is geared for these guys to really succeed. Giving tasks to freeform or create own procedures intimidate them because they like to be assigned roles. They like to be assigned a procedure. They like to be given things, right? Um, so that's more of an affiliative role on that things. Okay, guarding
Yeah.
kids like regular routines because it leads to safety. You got to remember a lot of things they do. Like the reason why they're so systematic is because it worked in the past and it leads to safety overall and that good feeling for them, right? Generally keep things tidy or in order, right? Can be seen taking jobs as teachers helpers, hall monitor, team managers, or class officers. So you can kind of take that little bit and you can project that into how they would be as an adult, okay? And those jobs will be practically where you will see a lot of them at.
Bro, these are the teacher's pets. These are the guys who get you in trouble in school because you're not following the rules and they tell the teacher. Or like when I was in working in the daycare, I tell the kids, hey, we're getting in a file, we're getting in a line, right? And then you see like the SPs and the people who don't follow the rules running around. These are the guys like, hey, the teacher said get in the line, and they help you out a little bit. These are the SJs, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, as a teacher, you love these guys, but as a student, you hate these guys, especially if you don't follow the rules. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. I'll let you take that question.
All right. So the idealists, the NFs, they had vivid imaginations and love for stories. They chase after fiction, dreaming up all kinds of fantasies. They make sure that they read stories about the hero's triumphs, most likely of any other type to have invisible
And Chris,
friends.
so we're gonna talk about that. Make sure that they read stories. Because of who they are as an NF, it's very important that you don't destroy their confidence by kind of jading them with life. Okay. Keep that NF core pure by having them look at the hero's triumph. So even if life is bad, that they can persevere and continue to be authentic to themselves and be a good person,
Mhm.
because that's what's going to make them happy. Okay. You can't try to force them to be an SP. You can't force them to be an NT. They are an NF. So, you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever have a kid who is an NF, that would be my biggest challenge because I tend to be very pragmatic thinking and thinking the concrete. So I'll be like, life is like this, or you know what I mean? Like I try to bring them into reality, but really I should allow them to be an NF. So that's gonna be my biggest challenge if I have a kid like this. But I guess we'll see because I don't have kids yet. But now that I know this, I could be more careful. Now it's very hard though. It's very hard because like Mercer said, you kind of tend to
Projecting.
project,
Mm-hmm.
especially because they're your kids. They come from you. You feel like you want to project a life view on them, but you need to be very careful, you know. Now, I think my father's an NF,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be a good asset to have in the future if I have a kid who's more of an NF. And just to, give a little bit more background, my father's an NF. My grandpa was not. He was probably SP, right? So it would be the same situation, my grandfather and my father. And at first, my grandfather had a hard time with my father because they didn't relate. They didn't relate because my dad wasn't into sports. He was into, art and creative stuff. Now, eventually, when my dad started surfing, they finally were able to relate because he had found kind of an activity that my grandfather kind of understood as sport, right? Because he's an SP. So it makes perfect sense now that I think about it. They had that challenge, and I might have that challenge in the future. We will see. But anyways, let me continue. They're very sensitive to the feelings of others, and they want to make others happy. They can get upset that the world isn't as perfect as they imagine it. They need to make the world a better place. Okay. Now, I describe this as the people who want teachers to get paid the same wage as LeBron James. Okay, that's what I call it. Because I've had multiple people tell me, yo, teachers should get paid like LeBron James. And then me being, a
Logical.
pragmatic, concrete thinker, I'm like, that's it. That's completely stupid. Like LeBron James changes cities' economies, like teachers don't. Okay. And then they get mad at me because they're thinking like an idealist. They want the teacher to be rewarded for providing a service to society. You know what I mean? So they have warm heartedness rooted deep inside of them. Now, as children, this could come off as just, the kid might not even know you. He comes up and he hugs you. It's like, hey, Mr. Christian, teacher, so and so. And you just met. These are these kids. Like they're very loving. They're always hugging. And you know, they're nice children to be around. They're loving kids. Okay. So to bring out their core, make sure they feel loved, and they will do all they can to make others happy. Like they like sharing and stuff like that. Like I remember in the classroom, I had a couple kids like this who like will have no problem sharing versus other kids. If you told them to share, they'd start crying or they
That's
go
me.
crazy.
I do not
Okay.
share. I hate sharing.
Yeah. So they don't do well in large groups where instructions are not individualized. But they will conform if they feel loved. Okay. They want to hear you're special, I value you, and you're important to me. So validation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, when you're dealing with them, you just want to nurture their core. Like it's okay for them to be an NF because the thing is you want them to be the best versions of themselves. Okay. You don't want them to try to be you. Okay. Um, and NFs do a lot of great things. A lot of times, they'll have these great causes or whatnot that benefit people at the end of the day. And I mean, you can a lot of times you can feel when you're around an NF because they just have this aura around them that just makes you feel like unjudged. Where you don't feel judged. You feel like I don't know. They just have this. I call it the Jesus light aura. You know,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
friend's the INFP, so I can talk about it from her perspective. But it's like you get this Jesus light aura. You're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what, like, how
They're
is
very
this happening?
accepting. They're very inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
They want to include people in. Like they don't want to reject or judge, right? Versus the SJs. The SJs can be very judgmental. Like if you don't follow society's rules, and because we're talking about children, is basically they're more transparent, so they'll enforce the rules harshly. It's like I said, like, yo, teacher said get in line, get in line. It's like boom, like they don't even hide it when they're kids. Now as adults, it becomes passive aggressive, and that's what Mercer's talking about. As an adult, it becomes judgmental, but as a kid, it's more direct. It's more follow the rules. Hey, teacher, so and so, kid didn't do this when you said. It's kind of like that. Like it comes out like that when they're kids. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said here, you really want to tell them you are special, I value, and you are important to me. um, they really want to hear those words. It makes them feel good. And like we said, if they feel loved, then they're willing to, open everything up for everybody else. And their talents come in diplomatic intelligence, so they're able to connect bridges to people. They're able to make people feel healed, and in that nature, right? That's going to be more of their power there. So even as a child, they're able to do that. Yeah.
mhm.
So now we got the rationals, the NT. This is me. Okay. Uh Born want to learn how things work and curious, prefer to think before they act. Okay. Ask a lot of why and how questions. As a parent, you should try to answer them, but also let them experiment to find answers. NT core mastery comes out as they master tasks or become competent with strategy games, toys, video games, and devising plans, right? Um, you can really hurt them, if they're starting to fail and you say like critiquing type things, because a lot of times they're already hard on themselves because of the competence. So you don't really want to damage that because that can get into adulthood, and then that will make them less likely to try to enact any of their plans, which you could see. I could see it in my NTness versus other NTs in our community, right? Because I built this confidence when I was a kid that I go out and I naturally want to try something, but then other NTs are a lot more afraid or scared or whatnot.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
as a kid, I was more encouraged. I had my older brother, and I tell a lot of people all the time is without my older brother, I probably couldn't be the person I was because he allowed me, even though I sucked, he always like, oh, you could do anything. You could do anything, man. You could do anything. And that really bought into like my confidence when it came to stuff like that. And, I think a lot of times he's willing to cave on a lot of things just because I wanted it, right?
Mhm.
So that builds up even more confidence in myself. Okay. Calm exterior can become angry or on stupid errors when focusing on competence. Too many errors or failures can hit their self-confidence. So that's what I was talking about earlier. To feel good about themselves, rationals must feel
Hold
competent.
on, hold on. Can I just say this one? When we were younger, Mercer was he was playing NBA 2K. And he was like he was really good at the game, right? So I had a lot of confidence in Mercer. And he played one of our friends, and I said, I'll bet you. I think it was like I don't know how much money. I think it was like $100 or something. I bet you $100 you can't beat Mercer, right? And like the pressure of the moment got to him, so he was kind of like messing up a lot. His confidence was low, and he was losing. So I said, hold up, pause the game. Mercer, what the are you doing? Like, come on, bro. Like, you good at this game. Like I had to bring his confidence back up. And once his confidence was back up, he whooped this dude's ass so bad, and I won, the $100 or whatever.
Yeah, we won
But
200 because he went for the rematch and I just destroyed him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's funny when I read this, it kind of reminds me of that moment because like the errors and failures had hit the self confidence and brought him low. But it's like once he got reminded of his past wins, it was like, okay, I got this. And then, you know, executed, So
That
it
was
reminds me of that.
I'll never forget that shit. This motherfucker screaming, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Just because I put some fucking money on the line, you fucking acting like a bitch. You're all scared and all this other shit." Like it was a whole different ordeal. But after that, it is what it is.
Mhm.
And I tell you
Also, I
one
want to
thing.
add this. I want to add this because we're talking about kids. I feel like the NTs could come off. You know those kids when you talk to them and they sound like little adults, like their vocabulary is like more than what it should be, and it almost sounds like you're talking to an adult, but in a kid form. I feel like those are the NTs. It's kind of like they're more quiet, reserved, and then when you talk to them, they're like mature, but beyond their years. You know.
So like when I was a kid, I always thought I knew more than my mom. Like straight up, I'm talking about 6, 7 years old. I thought I knew more than my fucking mom. And I swear to God, I would have bet I knew more than her. And she used to tell me, "You think you my mama," right? To this day, she's like, we take a whenever if I call my mom or something, and like the roles reverse, like I'm her parent. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy. Um,
And it's funny now that I think about it. Like I really get along with NTs. I feel because of that, it's almost like you can talk about ideas and they're very curious and rational about them. And me as a SP, I think I like him because I had, pretty, I believe, talented in that area of like,
Creativity.
rationality. I like to explore ideas, like different ideas, different. So I would bring that to NTs and they would accept them and be curious about them. And I think that's why it kind of meshes well with my personality.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, like when we're kids, we're like big ass fucking nerds. Like we're big nerds. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really like when I was a kid, I really cared about being the smartest person in the class. Like that was important to me. Um, no matter what, like that was like the number one important thing to me is I wanted to be the smartest kid in the class. I also was like in the student government a lot because I've always been fascinated with like, you know, leadership or power or anything like that. So I was always when I was a kid, I was always like class um officer or whatnot. Um,
Mhm.
to feel good about themselves, rational must feel competent. Favorite stories centered around heroic achievements. See, I go back to that. Love stories overall. So, like people ask, like, why is it called Mongolian mindset? Because I had a fascination with Genghis Khan. I had a fascination with Napoleon. I had a fascination with Hannibal. I had a fascination with Cyrus the Great, Alexander the Great. I love hearing about those heroic achievements they did, and I would visualize myself doing that. But only as a kid, I was quite depressed about that because I knew even as a kid that I couldn't do what they had did because of the way the world was structured, right?
Yeah.
So your
Yeah.
modern day heroic achievements is in business and things of that nature. But like the world is so global now that they will slap the shit out of you if you try to do something like Napoleon or Genghis Khan or whatever. They'll slap the shit out of you. The world's too global for that now. So that was quite depressing for me to see.
Mhm.
Um,
Can I
once
can I
again,
add to that? Hold
oh,
on, I want to add to that. So similar to how Mercer felt that way about heroic achievements, me as a SP, I used to feel depressed that I couldn't go out and explore like new areas because I felt like the world had already been all explored. So it's like as a SP, that's a depressing thought that you're not gonna be able to explore an area that someone's never seen. Like it almost feels like your core is already inhibited from the start because it's already been explored.
yeah,
So that's like a contrast between us. To him, it was like, I can't do these heroic achievements. So it's a depressing thought. For me, it was like, I can't explore like new areas that have never been discovered. Like that's a depressing thought for myself as a kid. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, being an NT, we're pragmatic. So like nowadays with the heroic achievements, you walk a very thin line, um, because you're pragmatic. It's easy for you to do something stupid or something, and then the people just jump on you, and then practically you got to go invisible. Okay,
yeah,
so you got to be very
The SJs come with their swords to hunt us down. You know what I mean?
on your
Like
knee,
if you
bend
think
the
about
knee.
SJs are like the stabilizing force of society. They're there to stamp on your aspirations. Okay. That's how I see it.
Hey, they here to
At
say
least that's
bend
how
the
I see
knee,
it.
bend the
Yeah.
knee, bend the
Bend the knee
knee.
to the rules and keep the status quo going. That's their MO. Whereas for somebody like me, it would be explore new areas. For somebody like Mercer is conquer new ground, kind of thing. So SJs are there to prevent us from.
Damn, Christian, you there? Oh, Christian get logged out. Well, guys, Christian just got logged out. Yeah, you there?
You good?
Yeah,
We're
you,
back.
you
Okay,
just
okay, okay.
froze on us.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
So, want to think for themselves and question authority. Custom routines that make no sense will be questioned. Might go alone to stay out of trouble. Can be rude and reject ideas of those they feel intellectually superior to. I'm pretty sure everybody know in the group. Anybody who's been around me, bro, you can't let me smell it. If I smell that you a dummy, that's your ass. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I don't care who it is. I even did it to my own mama. Okay, so you know I'll do it to you. Um, so like that intellectual superior thing there is very important. I've got a lot better with it now because I understand that everybody has their different intelligences and they all work in different ways. And there's really no superior one because um, I might do something in this realm, but in another realm, when it comes to maintaining relationships or family or that nature, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Okay. So we all got our own problems here. So when I came to understand that, I was okay. Um, once they set a standard, regardless where it is, they do not like to go under that current standard. So that's a problem that I have now. At the gym, I had such a high standard that now that I'm like older, it's harder to keep up that standard, especially when you work so many hours, you're doing YouTube, you're hanging out with friends and stuff like that. It's very hard to keep up like certain standards for things. So a lot of times I won't even do certain things because I can't keep up the standard that I have for myself, right?
Mhm.
That's the reason why I stopped playing video games. I couldn't keep up the fucking standard that I had set for myself, and any standard less than that was just something I wasn't okay with. That's why you won't see me like just jump on anything because I have a standard of my mind of excellence that I just can't do. I can't just do. I can't, like I told Chris, I can't just do something. Like he could just play a Pokemon game. I can't just fucking play the Pokemon game. I have to obsess about it. I have to do like, it has to be like all or nothing for me. And so I would just naturally just stay away from things because I know what the standard is. So like as an NT, you guys might really struggle with that. Struggle with social skills and physical coordination. For myself, I always talk about I had two left fucking feet. I was the person who was crazy athletic that got picked last, right? I could jump higher than everybody else. I could run faster than everybody else, but I couldn't catch a football. I could not dribble. Like that was just like coordination. I was the worst. I'll never forget when my older brother, ENTP, he was training me to weightlift. He used to yell at me, boy, I ain't never seen the shit that you doing. He said, how you got one arm coming up before the other one and you curling a bar? Like, how is one arm coming up and you are doing a benching? Like, it was just all type of shit. But I just always had like this crazy belief in myself that I'll be good no matter what, long as I was willing to do the work. But he would say, boy, I don't know what the fuck wrong with you, boy. You doing shit that I don't even think is possible. Like that's the type of shit I got because my coordination just not there. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like a lot of times you'll just see me like even you can really expose an NT by you make them do something they never done before, right? And you can see that piss poor coordination come out. So like, let's say Christian was like, let's go play pool. And then I can't even hold the stick right. You know, he's like, bro, what the fuck wrong with you, bro? Hold it like this. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right,
Like,
right.
I
Yeah.
can't get this fucking stupid stick right. You know, so then like for myself, like I have to go practice and think about it, like and obsess about it, and then I'll get it. But if you really want to expose an NT, you make them do something they never did before, and you will see it come out. And obviously the social skills, we talked about it. Like if you're an NT, you're really going to struggle in the relationship realm or like you're taking care of your children, things of that nature. I've always said this and I'll always say this. If you are an NT, you want to make sure you get your kids to adulthood and that they actually want to spend time with you when they're actually adults. Okay. And you also want to make sure you don't run away your significant other. Okay. Get your get cleaned out in divorce court. Okay. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also be aware of the label for Asperger's syndrome, right?
Mhm.
I would also put like for me, I was diagnosed dyslexic, okay? Um, but it is what it is, man. And we always have our references. This is People and Patterns by Stephen Montgomery and David Kersey's Please Understand Me Too. Highly recommend you guys pick up those books. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say, make sure that you watch this video and realize that you're not gonna be perfect. You're gonna mess up here and there. And raising a kid is supposed to be a community effort. Now, we live in more and more isolated lives, so the responsibility is going to fall more and more on you. I grew up in PR, Puerto Rico, and it was more of a community thing. My parents raised me, but also my grandparents had a lot of influence on me. So nowadays we kind of live separated lives. You might be away from family, and your kids might just interact with you and maybe their classmates or whatever. So make sure that you don't fall into the same traps, because if more of the responsibility is falling on you, then that means you need to be better. You need to be better than the previous.
Yeah.
So make sure you study your kids, trying to identify their personalities, and don't trample on them. Even if you don't agree with the way they think, try to at least get their point of view. Even if they're kids, they're still people at the end of the day. What I didn't enjoy when I was a kid was when people kind of treated me as a kid and kind of put my opinion down because I was a kid. They're smarter than you think, especially like certain kids that are, very talented. They could be wise beyond their years, and they'll remember certain things that you tell them when they're kids. You want to set them up for winning in life and to have confidence to be able to express views and share ideas. So,
Yeah, and guys, comment below like if you feel like in your childhood you were stagnated by your parents and what you wish they would have done differently, and what are you gonna do differently for your kids? I know that if I had a rational kid, I know I better not fuck up with my intelligence, right? Yeah, like for myself, I smell blood as a kid. I'm like, I'm smarter. I'm like 6, 7 years old, thinking I'm smarter than my mama, who's like double, triple my age. That's crazy. Or you just notice like the NF kid, you might have an NF kid, and you got to understand that you need to, especially for myself as an NF, I mean as an NT, you need to be able to tell them, hey, you love them, you care about them, and that they are valuable to you, um, as kids, and that's a lot harder for me to do because as a person, I really don't express emotions like that. But you not expressing emotions like that will actually damage that child. Okay. And it's better for them to go on their hero's journey where the hero triumphs, even though he goes through these wicked ways where the people are against him, but the doing the right thing will be valued at the end of the day for them. So it's important to do that with the SJs. I mean, I feel like they pretty much live a good life.
yeah,
I
I feel like
think you can't
SJ's
really say much about them.
SJ's just got a set, man. Society set up for them, school set up for them. They go, sit there, take the orders, do the right things, get the good grades. It is what it is, but at the same time, maybe what you could do for SJs is open them up to different possibilities of how people think, and and allow them to see that not everyone acts that way, and it's okay to allow those people to kind of explore and not trample on those people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So try to give them some empathy, like empathy training a little bit, you know, uh, so they can be less judgmental in the future when they grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that.
I can remember a story from Christian's girlfriend. You guys ain't being adults. Like, yo, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
SJ. But I would say like allow them to encourage them to go outside of their safety. I think that would be a big thing because they're gonna be big into their safety, their routines, but try to push them to go outside of it without damaging them. Okay, obviously, and with your SPs, bro, you just good luck, good luck, good luck.
I guess for SPs, I would say, okay, I would say maybe analyze like where your kid is at. You don't want them messing up in school, but you also don't want to stress the grades so much that it stifles their ability to kind of explore their own abilities. For example, me, like, I think early on it was stress a lot to get like straight A's and everything and stuff like that. But for my mother, it was more about the grades versus am I actually learning something, you know? Whereas me, if I had an SP kid, I wouldn't really stress the A's so much because like at the end of the day, the A's don't really matter all that much. It's more about what you're getting out of the class. The A's only matter later in life. The early A's maybe builds confidence, but I don't
Got
think it really matters all that much.
For context, Christian's mom's an INTJ. So obviously she cares about the status behind the grades and stuff of that nature. Um,
Yeah.
she's projecting onto him with her INTJ ass. Okay.
Yeah, I would say obviously I'm gonna stress grades to a degree, but they're not really that important for SP kid. I would say explore physical abilities more. I feel like I had a lot of actual talent as far as like coordination and sports that wasn't really uh you know explored. It wasn't really explored as much because my parents aren't into sports like that, to be honest. So the decision to start martial arts was kind of like my decision. I wanted to do it because I like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. And thankfully that saved me. It gave me an avenue. But if you have an SP kid and they show coordination talent, let them explore more sport related activities. Don't stress the grades so much. Make sure they're learning their basics so that they have, a good base of skills when they go to college or if they choose to go to college. And that's it.
I mean, I would
Yeah.
say for the NTs, one of the best thing you could do is force them to play a team sport, right? Because naturally they're gonna work on those social skills, right? Um, the social skills are gonna come when you're in a team sport. For myself, I had two left feet as a kid, so if I had myself as a dad, I'd be a monster because he would know that I have a crazy obsession, right? That I might suck when I start, but then later on, like I have this ability to just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going and become like obsessive about everything when it comes to the whole like thing and being very strategic about it. So I would marvel at it as if I have my kid being the same type as me. I would really love that, but for myself, it was harder to do because you look at everybody else and they're just doing it the first time and you're not doing it. Okay, so then you kind of barrel into knowledge, right? I was like maybe sixth grade and I knew sports wasn't for me. Like I had already visualized like sixth grade, like 6 years old, that like sports are not for me, because when I looked at everybody else, they were doing fucking crazy shit that I couldn't do, and when I tried and practiced, still wasn't coming immediately. So but me knowing that, I would push my NT a little bit more.
Yeah. Now, I just want to say, obviously, everyone kind of wants to have a kid that are the same type as them because it's almost like a do-over. It's like, okay, now I can give them all the tools that I didn't have, but it usually doesn't work out that way. I mean, you're gonna It usually works out kind of like how my grandfather had an NT kid and didn't know what to do with him.
NF.
NF kid, sorry, NF kid, and didn't know what to do with him. Then it could work out that way. It usually works out that way. Your kid might be nothing like you, and that's why this presentation is kind of important to
Mhm.
prepare you for that. Just in case your kid is not like you whatsoever, you could actually provide him the tools that he needs, not the tools that you want to instill in him, or her. So,
Yeah. So like for instance, Christian's mom is INTJ, dad is INFP, Christian's an SP. So that's
completely
totally
different,
different. Totally different,
totally
man.
different. So when I talk with them, it's like we speak different languages in a way. Like they're in different worlds. I'm in a different world than them. So, but they did the best they could, and I feel like they did good. I feel
Yeah.
like they did good. Obviously, no one's gonna be perfect. No one's gonna be perfect. So
Well,
you got
guys,
to give your parents grace, and hopefully your kids give you grace. But hopefully you do the best that you can. Okay.
yeah, and we do know that we want to congratulate everybody on the last video. We did get over 30 likes. So we will in the future, me and Christian will be breaking down the neuroscience of personality by Dario Nardi, going over the areas of the brain. That's gonna be fun. You're gonna want to check that out. And guys, we're gonna keep giving you guys stuff as long as we keep getting these likes, okay? Anything else, Christian?
Watch this 3 times to get the good stuff out of this video and 30 likes, and we're gonna continue giving you the heat, the bangers. Let's go.
The best information online in the MBTI space. That's us.